Good morning, folks. It is about 6:11 a.m. Eastern Time, and after a very long day and night of traveling and a jumped car in an airport parking lot around midnight, I am finally back home. We're going to go a little slower through some things today. For those of you in a hurry, nothing major happening on the sun. We've had some continuing earthquakes from the big one in Nepal, but other than that, nothing major really going on. Check your local forecast, and you guys go have a great day. Now, let me go ahead and share my desktop here. Click, click. Let's start here. We're looking at the sun in 171 angstroms. And we are on a repeating pattern, or a repeating cycle here from about yesterday morning, very early in the morning UTC. Now, you should be able to see that we don't have a whole lot going on. No big Earth-directed eruptions. You may have just seen one coming off the western limb there. Let's go ahead and take a little bit closer look at that one. We're over here at ISWA, looking at 304 angstroms. You guys see that nice little flare that just popped out that way? Not Earth-directed. Very pretty, though. There it is one more time. Of course, the primary eruption threat over the coming days is going to be this massive plasma filament. It has indeed crested onto the Earth-facing disk, and while it's probably not yet in a position to create an Earth-directed CME, it is really just not that far away. Let's take a look at the sunspots. Well, we still are having trouble getting even C flaring. This group up here is still mostly negative. And the big boys departing down here didn't actually go ahead and complex in the middle. Remember, we actually had a positive blue umbra up there and a positive blue umbra down here. Looked like they might begin to intrude on the central negatives there, but thus far it's not doing very much. Coming back here, sitting in front of this massive plasma filament, is that dark patch with a light patch in the middle, and then that dark triangle right there. South, turning away. These, of course, are the coronal holes. These are the primary earthquake factor, and hopefully Earth has released enough energy in the past couple of days that this won't trigger anything major on top of what we've already had. We can see that this is a positive coronal hole opening in green, the last one down south that we had, which you can actually see cut up well past the equator. That's the southern polar coronal hole, and is turning away now as the next positive one comes in. According to ISWA, this has just moderate force to it as of right now. That's what we're seeing right there, sort of the green almost into yellow. Not negligible, but certainly not the red that we've been seeing with the southern openings as of late. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are still having some aftershocks. The strongest one was this morning, actually, at 6.7. Its highest reading at USGS was 7.0, but it also had a fair number of readings lower than 6.7. And I actually think that this is not a downgrade. This one happens to be a relatively fair reading. It was also the top quake of the day. Coming to the Earth wind map right here, that convergence that we were looking at in Australia, still there. Hasn't really moved, and it'd be hard pressed to have a tougher weather watch than this in the area right now. And just end up doing this backwards. I'll come up over to Europe right now. I happen to know because this is one of the first things I checked this morning. This low up north really began intensifying, but it is still just one of three. So we've got this flow that curls around this low up here, another one that curls around Spain and Portugal and pretty much cuts right up through France. And then we have actually another flow up here where this air mass is actually meeting air masses a bit from the west. And well, if you live here, go ahead and check your satellite and see if you can isolate the three flows that are coming off of those lows. Last but not least, let's come to the Americas. Right now, this is going to actually be the low that does the primary weather watch tonight. You can see its convergence comes down right through here. Winds meeting from actually three different directions from the desert, heat and moisture from the Gulf, and some cold air from the north. The top alerts tonight will be for hail, severe thunderstorms, and tornadoes around Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, just this general area. Like I said, check your local forecasts. We also have a pretty nice Earth spot convergence with that low that is, just at the Alaska bend up there. Get a little bit better look at that right now. That low and the high pressure system that is just to the south of it. Yeah, pretty good Earth spot convergence right there. I'll go ahead and pull up one of NOAA's satellite images just so we can get a little bit better look at this. Okay, yeah, we are starting to see some more rain right now at the coastline. It's not going to be anything like what we'll have in the south tonight. In fact, why don't I cap this off, see if NOAA's forecast maps are fully updated yet. They are. Boom. So yeah, here we go. And I guess we'd have to include Arkansas in there as well. And of course, these things change throughout the day. They usually update this at least once around lunchtime, maybe a little bit later. But as we usually see with this, where the heat and moisture comes north, that's where the major storms are. And just where the western cold is able to slide in, the backside, we have the heavy snow possible. And that's about it for today. Like I said, things are very calm on the sun. Things are fairly calm back here at Earth as well. No geomagnetic storms, nothing major in the solar wind just yet. Although there is one last thing I want to check now that I've mentioned that. I talked about this in Fly on the Wall yesterday, and I'll go ahead and mention it now. We are expecting a solar sector boundary crossing at any time. I don't necessarily see it here, but we are expecting a sector boundary crossing to be happening at any time now. And if we do, then not only do we have coronal holes, planetary geometry that was significant, and solar flare energy all working together to create that enhanced earthquake watch, but we also will have a solar sector boundary within very close proximity of it as well. Speaking of which, speaking of Fly on the Wall, yesterday's episode, I thought so when we recorded it, and so far your emails seem to suggest the same. It's one heck of a 70-minute recording there. For those of you who do not know, we run suspiciousobservers.org. That podcast I just mentioned is under Fly on the Wall. Another 70 minutes, and it was a good one. Really was. Membership is only $3 a month or $20 for an entire year, and we greatly appreciate your support. What else to say? It's kind of a calm one right now. We are waiting for more to happen. I myself am mostly focused on this massive plasma filament, which is sitting out right ahead of those dark coronal holes. That's not a situation you really want to see after you've just had a devastating earthquake like we just had in Nepal. But anyway, that's the news, folks. It is now about 6:20 a.m. Eastern time, and eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.